for Vegas after these things happen, but
Right.
what we really need to be praying for is gun control. You know what I'm saying? Gun control and crazy control.
What do you think the right gun control would be?
I just don't think anybody should be able to get automatic weapons to that magnitude. Like, simple and plain.
Yeah.
Like, for what? Like, what do you need a chopper for? Like, what,
Right,
what do you need that shit
Yeah,
for?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I love guns. Don't get me wrong. I love my Second Amendment rights. I love my right to bear arms.
Yeah.
But I don't need that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you what really pissed me off. This motherfucker sprayed into a crowd of defenseless people who weren't expecting it.
Yeah.
All right, a lot of birds, a lot of stones, a lot of conversations to get. But many of you saw the video of the brother being shot in Georgia. A lot has sparked controversy all over social media because of the situation. Obviously, it happened months ago, but it wasn't for the video that Talcum X, a.k.a. Sean King, released. It never would have been the grand jury if it hadn't been for that video. But I'm peeping a few things. One, I see a lot of like new Republicans or just fresh voter Trump black supporters, not just non-liberal black people. Some of those who are on the Brexit crowd, some of those are just Trump supporters and not really Republicans, and so on. And they're going through this tizzy of arguing with their white friends and their fellow conservatives. And I've conceded to the point a long time ago. I've actually reached out to a few of them, see if they want to do Skype, or everybody's want to be on Zoom now. I guess I'm old and a dinosaur because I still mess with Zoom. I tend to I feel it's like mad, like you talk to a young dude like under 18 about Facebook and they be like, what's that? Like, we mess with Instagram is Facebook, they own it, so it's the same thing now. But it's like when I say Skype, people be like, huh, we mess with Zoom, and I'm like, that stuff, the quality is trash and it's very hackable and whatnot. But I bang with Skype, so I'm trying to do a lot of my calls and group hangouts via that, or even I'll try out YouTube thing too. But anyways, I'm trying to get a few of them together to have a conversation because a lot of them are new to this. They are, particularly the black women, and I guess the mixed ones that are black conservatives too. They're going back and forth and arguing with their white friends, and I'm just like, y'all must be new to this game. Like, I've been wanting to do a video about the cognitive dissonance or the intellectual dishonesty within white Republicans or white conservatives when it comes to race. They tend to bury their heads in the sands. The only time you really hear them talk about racism or racist stuff is when it comes from a Democrat. Like, they see it real clear as day. Like, I can see 2020 right there, but outside of that context, they bury their heads in the sand, which, again, I've conceded to that point. That's why when people make arguments about black men being with MGTOW or MRAs and this and that, and I'm like, we shouldn't be over there, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, there's no alternative for black people. There's no group or conversation being had. Well, there is now. You have the Manosphere, you have those groups, SBYM and all that weird stuff. But you have groups now, but at the time, there weren't really spaces for black men to go talk and do this, whatever. And they started their own. And my argument was like, well, there's nothing there for alternative, and then there's still common interests you have with these white boys that you need met. Yeah, when it comes to race, y'all gonna probably separate and go your other ways, but it's no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, just permanent interests. And you work with folks that may not be your friend, may not be your enemy, but you have the interest with them on that particular thing, and you go your separate ways. I've been on that for a while. That's just been my worldview. But apparently a lot of these women, and that may be just because it's women, but they're really going back and forth arguing with their white friends over tape that we all saw the same things, but everybody got a different opinion on what happened. The cognitive dissonance is high in white conservatives when it comes to race. So we want to talk about that. Hopefully, eventually, we get that together. I know it was last minute. Everybody was just popping off on Facebook all day, and I sent out a couple of feelers to see who would be interested in doing that. But it's been that, and then it was also the situation at the Capitol building, where, you know, people are comparing what would happen if black folks would have stormed the Capitol building with the guns, and then you got these new, and that's the problem too, you got these new Trump Republicans or new non-liberal, just left the plantation folks who they got to be careful with their rhetoric because they're calling AR-15s assault rifles and this and that, talking about perception is what it is. I'm like, no, our military don't use those guns. They're not assault rifles. They are semi-automatic sport rifles. They operate no different than hunting rifle. Like, you pull the trigger once a bullet comes out. They look pretty and cool and awesome, but they're the same as that. They're not what our military use. They don't have burst fire. They're not fully automatic. Like, that's not what people are running up to these state capitol house buildings and using. Got to get that right. Like, that's context that matters. But yeah, they were having discussions about the situation with that and the Mulford Act, and it's just a lot. Yes, of course, there's a criminality with blackness, and there's black folks can't do the same things with guns. But I caution them to be careful with what they're asking for. One chick said we need to get rid of the laws that allow the white boys who did what they did in Georgia, the white man and his son, to their brother. Got to get rid of them. And according to Georgia's law, there is no law that says that they could do what they done. You have to witness the crime or have strong evidence that something happened in order to make a vigilante arrest, and those two people had neither one of those. So I think some of these new Republicans gotta chill. They gotta you gotta do some research and whatnot before you all espousing some of that same Democrat rhetoric you left from that plantation and you bring it somewhere else. But yeah, that also happened, was the state capitol thing, and people are trying to say, like, white folks are trying to go a little bit too far, but then some folks who know, like, yeah, whenever what happened in Virginia, the laws were changed because, yes, what happened, and the Mulford Act, what happened with the Black Panthers and what they were doing, and Reagan did what he did, and the NRA supported it, and it's like some people just run with that, and that's it. They don't put any context to it. I think the NRA was wrong for supporting that, but the NRA is an organization that's had several different heads. It's like Hydra. One head falls off, a new one comes up, and they don't all have the same politics and worldviews. And again, I've said before, like, these Democrats are like, we got to get rid of the NRA. And I'm like, if you do that, the monster you create is hilarious, because I know a lot of white men who don't bang with the NRA specifically because they feel like they're too lenient and they've compromised too much. Yeah, but the conversation about the Mulford Act, and it's like, you break that down, it's like, yeah, it was Reagan, who once was a Democrat, and it was an assembly that was controlled in both houses by Democrats. Like, they had complete control. Like, 4 or 5 Republicans were in support. It passed like 40 something to 38. Like, there's context to that. Nonetheless, it was still wrong, but it was California with a Republican in a blue state who used to be a Democrat. Like, all that context matters. Nonetheless, it was still wrong. I don't support it, and it was bad. But the Mulford Act did not take away guns from black people or stop black people from owning guns. It stopped people from open carrying loaded weapons. That's what people don't feel in that context of the conversation. Loaded weapons are no longer allowed to be at the state houses in California because of the Mulford Act, probably in Virginia as well. That was what it is. Didn't take away our rights. We still got guns. We still can carry them. But you couldn't open carry loaded weapons anymore. And then there's the thing you see on your screen. You saw this, which I hate that it's in a black gun group, but I've already done my rants, and I haven't brought them to this channel yet. But I've done several videos on, black people in our NRA and gun support and whatnot. And I'm looking up and down my timeline in different gun groups and different posts about, some folks like, yo, go join the NRA, blah, blah, blah. Then there's the infamous fuck the NRA that follows that every time. And I've already explained that black folks want the NRA to kiss their ass, and they're not going to do it. The NRA is a one-issue voters. Black people don't have the luxury of doing that. When black people come to groups, they tend to bring a lot of their other liberal logic with them and a lot of liberal bullshit with them, and the other groups don't want to deal with that. So that's why it makes sense why they don't want you in their groups, period. That's just the oversimplification of what I've already explained several times before. But people are talking about join NAGA, join this, join that. I'm like, what political party do you have? The NRA don't care about us. They have never done. Like, there's several black folks that would be in jail today if it wasn't for the NRA, but what has NAGA done? Not a damn thing, right? The goal would be for them to get some political power, and I think the owner or one of the founders of it is talking about, like, there's a war within the group. Some of the members don't want to go political. They want to stay neutral. And then one of the founders wants to go political, which I mean, if you keep telling black folks to join you instead of the NRA, but you have no way to help folks when you are a, you know, a ATM safe pickup person and you driving in New Jersey and you got hollow point bullets and you get arrested and for no reason and everything legal, you know, unless NAGA's gonna send a lawyer out to defend you, like, what's the point of joining your organization? Like, Or if you're a mother who lives in Jersey and you drove to Philadelphia, or you live in Philly and you drove to Jersey and the gun laws don't apply when you cross that street, which puts you definitely in a different state, but you like 10 blocks away. Again, it was the NRA that helped her and got her out of jail, not NAGA. Or the old black dude in Chicago who wanted to carry a gun outside of his home, have a gun in his compartment complex, and liberal Democrat policy said no, and he's like, well, I live in a gutter, I live in a ghetto, I need a gun. It wasn't NAGA that did that, it was the NRA. But we don't talk about those things, right? And I'm not even a spokesperson or a member of the NRA, but I'm saying let's put things into context. You can't just be overly emotional and say F them because of Philando Castile situation. I get it. If you were a member and you don't like the way it turned out, I got you. Leave. That's, you're right within that. But a lot of folks is just talking, don't know anything, don't know any of the context of what happened with these cases. There are like at least 5 off the top of the head I can name. So that's just laziness on the part to say that they've haven't helped at all. And I'm looking at the comments to this post you see right here. And some dude responded with me some talk about, what did he say? He said, oh, stop calling. I said it's stupid liberal logic. This post is stupid ass liberal logic because this is the only person who says this. Travis Smiley, also a black liberal, says the same thing. They have this worldview that if we all go get guns, the 50, well, to 20 million of us, because it says black males, so that age range, that's maybe out of 20 million, that's might be 10, 15 million of us. Not even. That the 195 million of white folks are going to want to give up their right because a small percentage of us have guns. No, that's not logical at all. That's not rational. I guess people are sending me messages saying they want to know what time we're going to have this conversation. But yeah, like, this is stupid ass liberal logic. I didn't call anybody a name. I said the logic is stupid and liberal because it's only liberals who make this logic. And Sarge made a point in his recent video about the black men protecting the woman going to the state's office with their guns. He parodied that to Stacey Abrams in Georgia when you had the Black Panther Party using AR-15s to talk about we're defending her. It's like y'all a bunch of idiots defending a black woman, which is your right, but she's the very black woman wanting to take away the guns you're using to defend her black ass. Like, that shit just does not add up. It's not logical. You'll never see a bunch of white Republicans defending a Democrat anti-gunner. No matter what the situation was, they're not going to be defending them and marching them to the Capitol building or protecting them when they know that the very guns that they're using to protect her ass, she's trying to take away. Like, only we do stupid shit like that, which Sarge articulated in his video. But that was the last point I wanted to come to was it was something Charlamagne the God said. He posted something. Oh, this was something else. Also posted that black men is officially irresponsible not to own a firearm, get trained in 2020. A lot of folks are agreeing with this post, even my non-political friends on Facebook. But this was what it was. Sorry, Rifles is New Spares, our gun group. If you want to join, like the page. But this is something that Charlamagne posted. Right now, Charlamagne has been sounding like a broken clock, and he's kind of weaving and bobbing away from the Democrat bullshit that he's been spouting the last 2 years since he befriended Angela Bright Skin Magic Rye. And even she's trying to flip it up a little bit, I see as well. I see her playing her game too because she definitely was the pushback against Charlamagne, but I think she sees the bag and being in this whole, we got to get something for our vote now, blah, 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 blah. Like, she definitely switching her tune up a tad bit. And I thought she was gonna come in and chastise Charlamagne. She did push back against him, and she did, because they had this thing in Florida not that long ago where they were trying to get people registered to vote, where she was pushing back against Charlamagne's rhetoric of, we want something for our vote and we're not just gonna give it away, and normal stuff that most people who've been doing politics do, right? But we're just late to the party. But the confusion is that, and in my video, I do not trust black people who. I do not trust black people who push gun control. He's one of the black people in it because he's talking about who needs AR-15s or this and that, and so it's conflicting, right? I'm sure he's in New York and he works in New York and he lives in Jersey, so of course he has to deal with those same liberal Democrat gun laws on both ends. He can't take it, even if he could have a concealed carry in New York, in Jersey, which is rare. He couldn't even take it to New York to go to work, and we've seen he talks a lot of ish. And more than anybody, he needs one. But he's saying you have to get this gap, get this gun. But he's also been on the face of the typical Democrat, get rid of guns. So it's confusing. The only time black folks who are somewhat cognitive of what's going on will talk about gun ownership is when something like what happened to that brother happened. But let there be another mass shooting, they'll be on the other side of the argument. So it's confusing. Charlamagne is correct in what he said in his post, but again, 9 times out of 10, he's going to vote for Joe Biden, who wants to implement stricter gun laws, who wants to ban specific weapons that we all own. And these laws that are going to be created are going to be disproportionately affecting our black asses. The same black men you want to go out and get gun and get trained and learn how to shoot are going to be impacted by if Joe Biden won, Democrats got the House and the Senate, they're going to put forth a bunch of bullshit as gun control laws similar to what we have at the state level in New York, California, Massachusetts, Jersey. They're going to implement that at the federal level, and all hell's going to break loose. And the funny thing, and Sarge also mentioned this in his video too, is there's a lot of new gun owners who are Democrat and liberals. So that's going to be interesting in the next election cycle because the gun ownership jumped up drastically since the coronavirus hit. But that's my video. I didn't talk too much about the situation. It was unfortunate. Of course, I do wait to see what happened and get all the information before I make my opinion on anything. I'm not just run and jump and look like a fool later on. It does appear that this guy was a mistaken identity. These guys had no right to follow him or harass him or bother him. The dispatch is just similar to the situation with Trayvon Martin, told him to chill because, what is he doing? They asked questions, and there was no right for them to do what they tried to do. It looks bad on the district attorney because, this is the DA. The DA is no, we're not going to prosecute. No, we're not even going to charge, right? And it's a bad look on them. A couple people recused themselves, stepped down. So it's all a bad look, right? If we got in Rahm Emanuel's ass for hiding the tape and hiding the situation that went on in Chicago, some of your same white liberal conservative friends will point that out, the dirt that was done in Chicago and the corruption with that situation. But, you got these Republicans in Georgia who are doing some similar stuff. So keep it consistent. That's my video. Pew pew. Black folks, go get you some guns. Go get educated. Train, which is hard to do right now. We definitely got to buy land to go to gun ranges because that's something that's true. In New York here, COs is different, and I'm surrounded by black COs and cops, but they get a little bit of a discount if you go with them. But the ranges are don't buy ammo from a range for one. Obviously, just don't do that. That's stupid. It's like buying candy from the movie theater. Go to Family Dollar first and then go to the movie theater to chill. But yeah, don't buy ammo at the range. Don't do that. And because you're buying the ammo and you're renting a gun and you're paying for time, that could be very expensive. Whereas you buy your gun from the gun store, well, not right now because everything's sold out and way overpriced because of coronavirus and the new liberals getting guns for the first time in their life. But the point I wanted to make is that we need land to go shoot, right? We need to have our own ranges and whatnot. because again, and then some folks, y'all weird anyways, and it is, you don't want your first time being in the gun range and you be the only black person in there, all that type of stuff that does happen, that's why we need land, or need to think about investing in building more black gun ranges. But I'm ranting, and more people are inquiring about what time the conversation is going to start, so I'm about to go see what's good with that.